These two to move up. Yes.
Jason, can you help her get this? This is my husband and he kind of knows social media a bit, so I'll have to help you.
I'm going to go ahead and introduce our next guest here for this language summit. I want you all to give a big thank you to Mr. Lanny Reelberg, Dr. Lanny Reelberg here. On behalf of the National Park Service, I just want to say too that for working here at Knife River Indian Villages, we preserve, that's our mission basically here, is to preserve and protect the landscape. We do that through prescribed burning and spraying weeds. We do it through the archaeological record. We do it through gardening and saving of indigenous seeds and that type of thing. But one special thing that this event has done is to preserve it, help preserve it through the language aspect of it too. So we're so fortunate to have these various speakers here today to help us with that. And without further ado, here's Dr. Lanny Reelberg.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to thank the historic site for inviting me to this outstanding event. Niapsaarukuk. Make Ohawa Mahut. Nima Ejab. Iroara Sagits. Mahabir Sagits. Mashewawa. Mini Guku. Igya. Martin Shag. I'm a crow, but at the same time, I'm also Ree. At the same time, I'm Hidatsa. I'm wealthy because I have relatives here. Aunt here, an aunt over here, relative over there, same descent. We descend from the same chief. My son, Pansy. I'm fortunate that way. They say, us native people, we have a different measure of wealth. And it's not how much you have in your bank account, but it's the people that you have. That's why people get elected. And what I'll be presenting today is, I just want to key on one element. I utilized the Plains Indian Sign Language to teach our languages. And that's what we're going to do here with some of my chosen students here in this function. What I discovered years ago was that fortunately I was taught a little bit of that language by my grandmother. And one of the things I used to use with grandma was this. Give me some money, Grandma. The other thing is that with grandmas, you go into the house, Maris, I'm hungry. They know right away. Barut. So they say, you're going to eat. So those are some basic ones. Or they would say, awaja, meaning in Crow, sit. Or it's almost the same in Hidatsa. Notice this. I'll say awaja, and Hidatsa was awag. We'll say dillo. Dillo. So there's a really similarity there. If we said like Mashwa in Hidatsa, in Crow we would say Bash. If we say Hu, that's the same thing. If we say A in Hidatsa, we say Da in Crow. So it's basically it's like DJ stated that there was a great similarity in the language. And I learned through my grandmother and asking my father, because my mother was hard of hearing, and then my uncle and a couple cousins were hard of hearing, that I needed to communicate with them. And then I just kind of started picking up on sign language kind of on my own, and then there was a guy, a mute, that lived with my aunt about a half a mile away. And we'd walk around the woods like this, down around the Little Bighorn. And I'd point to something, and he would say, that's the tree there. You know, you do this number. This is a question mark. Whenever you see Indians doing this, like in Lame Deer, let's say you go to the Gyptown bar, you went like this. They'll say whiskey or beer. You know, they wonder which one you want. You know, so it's a question mark. Hey, what, where, when, why, who, how, and so that's what we're doing all the time. You go to Rocky Boy among the Cree, they'll do the same thing. Nadike, Gigwai, they'd be asking the same thing, and it's just basically a question mark. So started picking up on that through my grandmother and my dad and the late Billy Three Irons. And then I started teaching myself because I noticed that it had a great complement to learning vocabulary. And so that's what I did and started introducing words to people by them doing the motion of signs and learning the word. And I found that when they started learning this word by the motions, they learned better. It was much like what DJ said, it was an immersion technique. So we have an immersion technique and we have this learning by doing, that's what immersion is. And then we have this rote, meaning repetition, becoming familiar and practicing. Well, that's what sort of kind of led me to a little bit more knowledgeable in sign language, because from the people that taught me, I didn't learn all that much here and there, but as I started teaching myself, I began to learn more and asking other people, and soon enough I became very effective because it was a means to teach the language, not primarily based on the signs itself, but it was the vocabulary that was the emphasis. So with my students here, I'm going to use this, okay? Do this number one sign. Students, you're my students, come to earth. Okay, and do this number. So that means yes. Well, we do this and we mean yes. And so years ago, right in this very place, in the center of the economic standards set by the Hidatsa and the Mandan and Ree here, this was probably the center of trade. And people came from great distances, and sometimes they didn't speak the same language. They had to use signs, and that's where this language goes. It was the medium. It was the medium for all the people. And sometimes we would be using it if we went hunting. Let's say you and I went hunting, and I'd say, "Oh, those trees over there, I want you to go around there." And then when you see those 3 deer there, wave at me, you know. I'll come around here. Watch yourself, I might shoot you. and then yell, and then you'll chase them this way, and then I'll nail them. And then you could gut them, and I'll just watch you. So that's kind of what we would do. It's something like this. Yeah, it can do. So like, we didn't want to interrupt people too. Yes. Do come.
Adieu.
I'll go to bed.
Meat.
Nere maoko.
Kuwait. Dine bä.
Mahere ekat. Ni Hidatsa.
Ei. Aronikki.
Neha miapsaroka. Awakawa mahut.
Vini neidekuu.
That's a conversation that we could be having. We kind of had a little bit of Hidatsa in there the best we can. We might have not been perfect, but that's how we do it. So like you come to Crow, sometimes we'll be doing that. And it's not like maybe American Sign Language where there's a lot of fine tuning. All it is just a basic conversational, simple communication tool. It's not meant to be almost like, well, some people can create speeches and plays and whatnot, but it's just a basic effective communication tool that all the tribes, some almost, probably the Kickapoos out of Texas, all the folks in Oklahoma, Kiowa, Comanche, Pawnee, Oto, Osage, you come into the Sac and Fox, and you come up to the Lakota, there's information, you could see some of the Lakota and the Dakota and the Omaha and the Winnebago, and we're coming up through all the Dakotas here, and then we go into Canada and all of the Crees, and we go further west to the Bloods, the Sitsikat, the Dene people, the Blackfeet, the Kalispel, Penderee, the Salish, the Cree, the Grovon. All of these people, they utilize that language. They use this language to communicate. And we come across each other. And basically how we would do it was, like, let's say we come back on horseback. We didn't know each other's language, but and you knew a little bit about signs, so do this number. This means sometimes people will say, how? Some people will say, kaheh. What I'm saying is like if I was a hippie, peace, man. Yeah. But it's like this instead. And sometimes there's some different ways of greeting. So we didn't know somebody, we come with an open hand. We don't like nowadays, you go to the streets of Billings, there's people carrying guns like that, trying to look at you, got some kind of chip on their shoulder. God, it's scary to go places now, being native and minority. You don't know who will just shoot you over nothing. But anyway, we do this. Or, for example, if we were both Crows at Shodaji, how are things? And you might say, I'm good. Or you might say, no, I didn't take a bath today. Oh, just joking. Okay, but
Hollywood version.
oh, it's just a piece. But you know, the one thing about the Crow and Hidatsa, we kind of have the same sense of humor, and some people they get kind of weirded out about it. But that's tough, man. No, I'm just kidding. They say if you're in native, just an orientation to the native world, if somebody teases you generically, you're basically welcome. But if they ignore you and they don't say anything to you, then you got something to worry about. Okay, we ready? A on 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. A. 3 times. 1, 2, 3. A. 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 Okay. Look at 3 different people and tell them yes. 1, 2, 3. I don't hear the back over there. Hey, you guys in the back, speak up. Ready? We'll practice one more time. Yes. Ready? 1, 2, 3. A. 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 All right. Look around and tell 3 different people. Yes. Ready? 1, 2, 3. A. A. Right. This means good. Okay. We're not there yet, but I'm just trying to encourage you. All right. This means get your backhand. Palm facing you, push out, saying no, no. This is no. Okay, no. Okay, okay. Neha. We're doing this in Hidatsa. Okay. On 3, everybody. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Neha. 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 Good. Now tell 3 different people. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, now we're gonna do this. Sometimes it's not so frontal. So like when we're at doings, like at Paulo's, like sometimes like the young guys when I used to be young. When we see something, somebody going by, maybe a pretty gal. We're gonna do it casually. Don't want it to be overt, you know. Okay. So it's kind of casual. And then you like in ceremonies, like for example, we're sitting on the ground and somebody really sings a good song and say, that's a good song. Don't want everybody to look. Good one. So there's like different variations, and it's not so like based on structure. It's more casual motions and gestures. So then let's do this one, and say it. On 3, let's say it 4 times. 1, 2, 3. Tell 3 people. 1, 2, 3. All right. Now this is like this. Like you were asking, it could mean different things. Like this could mean mean bad, but it could mean throw away, or it could mean throw. So you have to understand with common sense and knowing somebody where this is going to apply. So if you're sitting there with maybe one of your sister-in-laws, you want to say something. You want to say something bad about her. I suppose it could be this, but then you could think throwing her away. I don't know if you would do that or not, but there are these word links and signs that are kind of like the same, but you got to know what's going on. You know, you got to have the common sense, and it's not like a precise type of, but the gesture will get there. Okay, let's do this and think about something tasting bad. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. All right. Then you might for example, like maybe you pointed at his shoes and that smell, I'll throw these away. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, she agrees with me. Okay, let's practice 4. We got 4 Hidatsa words within that short amount of time. Ready? 1, 2, 3. These girls aren't a payroll. Ready? 1, 2, 3. All right. Louder. Ready? 1, 2, 3. So this is how I'm teaching. But one thing I got to keep in mind, I'm going to take a few minutes since this is going on to the world here. We need more contact time in our public schools. In our colleges, we need more contact time. We need this contact time be emphasized with our legislators to tell the Office of Public Instruction or whoever sets the standards for teaching that you can learn geography in the native language. You can learn math in the native language. Like for example, here's math in the native language. Achbikya, add to it. Vidachya, subtract. Divide, bachkucha, divide. Multiply. Achbikyaku, multiply. See, that's simple. In the sign language, I could teach you math. And we need more contact time, because let me give you the realities of this. I'm a native language consultant, and I recently developed a plan for some Ojibwa people, a 10-year plan. And in my research with this organization called Potlatch, with the amount of hours that we spend like at the tribal college, if we only have 3 hours of contact time per week, it's going to take us about 56 years to become fluent. And then we have these language camps, they're really good, and we're teaching kids about our culture and language as well. So every summer we have maybe 2 weeks. We set aside some time and we do a full day of maybe immersion or maybe mentor apprentice. That will take 18 years to get somebody fluent. Although there's immersion saying that's the best practice, it is for little kids, but not for adults. Adults, as we have a different way of learning languages. And that, to me, as a researcher, as a consultant, as an advocate, as a researcher, there was a method that right now that the MHA people are practicing right now. Bernadine's one of the head people over there. Bonita's very involved in it, as well as Sally being one of the primary consultants, and Pansy recognizing their efforts, is this master apprentice method that was developed out of the University of California, Berkeley, by a gal named Leanne Hinton. And she, to me, I've seen this effective in teaching the language within people getting rudimentally speaking within like a month to 6 months. And having that, they go along with a mentor, and they go along and they have a script that they follow, and before they know it, they're speaking. Some of this other school, this bilingual stuff in classes and whatnot, you got to realize that sometimes people are teaching us the art of language, not the communication of language. So there's a difference that we got to understand. And I'm basically talking to the world. There's the linguistics, studying the science, but there's the main thing that this language has to be about, and that's just communication. And that's what I want to put a cap on that. Let's go back to this review. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's hear it louder. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Good job. All right. You tell somebody to come here. Okay. Come here. Come here. So you say, whoop, whoop. All right. Whoop. Yeah. There's a lot of different variations. Whoop. Ogoa. Oigera. All right. Whoop. All right. Whoop. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Whoop. 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 Okay. Tell somebody to come here. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, good job. We got 5 now. This is one thing that sometimes is overlooked in a lot of language instruction, and that's this worldview. And here's an example of the worldview. For example, since Sally and my aunt's here, there are some things I couldn't say to them because they're older than me. And that would be go. If I said go, that is totally rude and disrespectful. And so, like, if we said that in Hidatsa or Crow, and I said that to somebody, say, nah, da, it's kind of rude, it's kind of aggressive, but sometimes you could say it to a little brother, you could say it to, when they're getting on your case, da, go. But in the worldview that is based on respect, as well as protocol, from what they taught us, we respect older people. That's what it is. We ain't gonna say not to anybody. We could say it to our dog really easily. Your cat. Hey, cat, ah. You could say, okay. I'm glad to say that to a cat. Be looking at ah. So anyway, it's like this. When we're going, we're gonna go, or leave, or get out of here, or it's time to book. I'm going back to the mountains after this. Maybe not. Maybe I'll stop at the casino. But then you say, nah. Yeah, in Hidatsa, nah. So we won't say that to anybody because it's rude, but just imagine you could say it to me, I don't care. Okay, ready, 1, 2, 3. Nah, 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 nah. Yeah, well, now we gotta break the rules. Tell 3 people to go. Ready, 1, 2, 3. All right, let's practice what we learned. Ready, 1, 2, 3. Good job. Ready, 1, 2, 3. Louder. Ready, 1, 2, 3. Ah, louder. Ready, 1, 2, 3. That was Cheyenne. Niwasin. I went to, I recently came from Cree country, and I'm going back, and we had a good time over there in this reserve called Poundmaker, and they're taking off on that. I utilized this method, and I started teaching this method to certain people on the Crow reservation, and it took like 6 years to get a hold of. And I always think that, geez, no offense to our difference of cultures, but I think, geez, if I was a white guy, they'd probably believe me. But after, being one of the roughnecks that kind of hang out in some of the dark places, they really didn't take me seriously for a long time. But now that's one of the centerpieces of vocabulary. And then when we were doing this, just like my son and I, we really scripted a rough Hidatsa conversation, 2 conversations in Hidatsa. They were rough. We made a few errors, but that's how it's got to go. So you could learn possibly by the time you learn about, I would say 100 to 120 signs using some vocabulary, you can start scripting, just like what we did there, putting these scripts together in conversations. And that's what I did at Little Bighorn College. And then these students would go out, and they would have maybe a peripheral of about maybe six scripted conversations, and then they could understand what was going on, and they'd come back to class, oh geez, I heard them, I knew what they were talking about, I was able to respond to somebody saying that. So it's just a method is all, and just to complement all the other wealth of methods and practices and standards that are being used to teach the language. But I want to again emphasize it's about communication, not necessarily the science and the linguistics that sometimes people get misled by. Okay, take the hand like it's a play gun, okay? But pull it sideways like it's pointing to your left, okay? And then push it away, and that means you know something. I know. Okay? You just tell me it's a nice day. Just tell me it's a nice day.
No, it's a nice day.
Just tell me simply
it's a
it's
nice
a
day.
nice day. Etiquette. I know. Okay? All right. You asked me what my age is.
How old are you?
Etiquette does. I don't know what my age is. But anyway, let's go back to this. This is know. I know something. Okay? Benita, help me on this. Etiquette. Etiquette. All right. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Etiquette. 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 Tell 3 different people. You know. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay. Here's another. This is another example of a practice that sometimes people don't see some of the fine details in teaching language. The Hidatsa as well as the Crow have a different delivery of in the linguistic sense, object, verb, subject, subject, verb, object. There's a little bit of difference. So some people say that English is backwards when they're taught, when it's from the Crow point of view. Or the Hidatsa, oh, the English, that's backwards. The Germans will say the English are backwards because that structure, subject, verb, object, object, subject, verb, is almost like how the Germans deliver their language. So all in all, with all European languages, English being the exception, is in reverse to other European languages as well as native languages. So that's why we have this sign, okay? I say no, K-N-O-W, not, meaning instead, if I said it in English, I would say don't know, see? So that's why it's a little bit of a subtle difference. So I say no, not in the native language. Hidatsa. All right? Hidatsa. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Hidatsa. Hidatsa. Tell 3 different people. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Review. Ready? 1, 2, 3. A, neha, sagis, jiz, u, na, Hidatsa. Come on, guys. Ready? 1, 2, 3. A, neha, sagis, jiz, u, na, Hidatsa. All right, louder. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Awesome. That's like, when somebody gives me a really good turkey sandwich. Good. When I go to Bismarck and I leave that place they call China Star, I've been through all 4 or 5 of those lines about maybe twice. No. Okay, take your palm, put your palm up, okay? Make a fist with your right hand and then pound on your palm to tell somebody to sit down. You're going to just tell somebody to sit down. If they come to your house, sit down. If you got chairs, you'll have them sit down on the chair. If you don't have furniture, you could make them sit on the floor. At least give them something to sit on. No, I don't think you can do it. You guys are accepted, Okay, awad. Okay, 4 times. Awad. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Awad. 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 Tell 3 people to sit. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Awad. 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 All right.
And Eddie, is that, when you use that, if you go really hard, does that mean you're kind of angry? If you're really a nice person, you won't sit down?
Let's say this guy was way over there. I'd have to be kind of, he might have to squint and stuff, kind of move his nose around to see me, but I'd make it just emphatic.
But it was a little kid running around, he'd go like that, and that would be,
Yeah, you could
sit
do
down.
that. Yeah. Hey, one. Yeah, you could do that. But, in my classes, I have this kind of, I want to make it user friendly, and basically we're learning some Hidatsa, okay? The key is we're teaching vocabulary. The complement is the Plains Indian Sign Language. The repetition is learning the language that's a reinforcement. And so when I have these classes and I'm in these classes, I set some rules that there's no correcting, just like Pansy's class. No correcting. I'm not going to get in anybody's face and correct it. Eventually going to catch it. We're not going to laugh at anybody, but we end up laughing all the time in there. Mistakes are okay. That's the main thing. Mistakes are okay. Make all the mistakes you want. I don't even give a darn. Because it's kind of you build resiliency once you overcome that that shyness of making mistakes. And then the other one is that I try to develop a consistency and some confidence by being able to look at somebody in the eye and speak a different language that they're new to where they become welcome to it, and they become a user-friendly type of place where they want to be, where they're comfortable, and not a place where sometimes we get these instructors of a native language, and they've been brought up in boarding schools, parochial schools, military type schools, and so they bring that type of I guess pedagogy to these back to the res of being authoritarian, and they have these behavioristic type of tendencies to be some kind of know-it-all types, and then that comes from this sort of this authoritarian sort of these institutions where, like, you know, that they have these chain of commands, and so the native protocols of growing up, you know, we were around people that we trusted, like our grandparents. If you were ever around your native grandmother, the other day we were thinking about the importance of a grandmother. A grandmother is one of the toughest enemies to go against. They will never back down from their grandchildren. A grandmother will always stand her ground, even in the European world, even the most mischievous little kid, for that grandmother, he's going to always be right, no matter what. And so that's how this institution of grandmother is important, because they have this love, so they teach, and you're around somebody that loves you and you learn that way. It's more effective than like some of these structures that we have in the contemporary educational world, where that sometimes these people who went through this parochial schools experience bring this back, and they have this authoritarian type of, yeah, I know that, hey, that's not the way it is, hey, and then all of a sudden people don't want to be around that language. And, oh, you said it wrong. Oh, and then and pretty soon, and then you see that person and you want to move further from them, and then you see that person again, and they're embarrassed and they're ashamed because they corrected them. And pretty soon they don't even want to be associated with this culture, and they keep removing themselves. And then that's sort of not the only thing, but that happens occasionally, where we have these people with this authoritarian teaching methods. And so basically, not only do we teach communication, but we got to teach user-friendly communication or teaching methods, like what Pansy has demonstrated. Some of this sort of method that I experienced over the years and developed through teaching signs and vocabulary. It just takes some practice. I've been mentoring people over in up north, and they're taking off on it. So along the Dakota as well, down in Eagle Butte, and there was some people that I mentored over in Spirit Lake. So they're kind of taking off on their own, developing their own style. But basically, you want to make it a user-friendly, no mistakes. Have a good time. Okay, let's go practice again. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay. Do the number 1 sign. Push it up. Hidatsa means stand. Okay. Ask somebody to stand. All right. Say it 4 times. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Louder. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Hidatsa. Tell 3 people to stand. Ready? 1, 2, 3. All right. Hold on to the signs. Take this finger, your left finger, cover this lobe. And then you could hear yourself speaking these new words that we've introduced to you. Okay, I'm going to sign with one hand, but you don't have to sign. Just listen to yourself and how you are speaking the native language. Ready? 1, 2, 3. E, neha, sekir, jir, uru, na, evaketa, awa, diva. That's how you sound. And so when I have this subtle practice of where you're looking at somebody like 3 times, you get that comfort, because when you're first learning a language, you just really don't want to say something to somebody. You might say something that might be really rated X or something. You might say something really, jeez. That reminds me of some things that people said. They're really rough. Right. I'll walk. Welcome. Have a seat somewhere. Yeah. What we're doing here is just to let you folks catch up. I was utilizing the Plains Indian Sign Language, which is the standard of communication for tribes throughout the legacy of the native world since time immemorial. And then due to the influences of the Western movement and some of the difficulties that our native people had faced, this language that I particularly am using is sort of kind of went dormant, but it's I've been traveling around trying to utilize it as a standard to teach vocabulary. And I started getting a little bit more effective in teaching this or utilizing it in about 2004. I started creating some CDs and DVDs, and then by 2006 I had this DVD and CD out in Crow to teach some of the Crow people, but they never took me seriously for about another 6 years. And then about 2007, Bernadine's brother was hanging out with us Crow and having a good time over there, and a lot of his children were learning Crow ways, and they had a good experience over there. And we were talking, and he was viewing this work that I did in the Crow language, and he said, "Let's go. We should do this in Hidatsa." All right, we did this in Hidatsa, and we made these a CD and a DVD for the purpose of teaching vocabulary, because at that time, about 2007, there were some things going on, and there were things that weren't going on. So we just took it upon ourselves to just, if nobody's doing it, we might as well do it. And then he would call Bernadine sometime to clarify some of the words that we were recording at that time. We were sitting in the studio room recording, and sometimes all right, wait, we'll go in here. I'll ask my sister. And that's the times he called you, Bernadine. There was a couple of us waiting. We were recording. We had recording equipment. Then we did that clarification there, and then brought it over for teaching. And I don't know if it really caught on. I noticed though that when we do this, it is effective in teaching people familiarity, vocabulary, and whatnot, but there's still lots to go. There's still more words to learn, and there's still more conversations to script. So I guess if I had my choice, we could go on for about another 3 months or so, but I guess not. Only so much time, and I got some other projects, other fun things to do, and places to see. If there's any questions, I'll field them at this time. I'll tell you one thing about one time there was these Crow guys. They had them reservation hats. They had beaver coats, and they were gonna go visit the Osage. Those Osage. I guess their language is almost like ours. It's like Dakota, kind of mixed Dakota and Omaha, and some of the in between words you could understand, so they would communicate with signs. So they got on this train and they went over there. They got off and they were looking around. They were talking with each other. These three crows, they're standing around, and that one guy said, "Geez, hey, Bia, he wants to talk to this lady." And he said, "Oh no, don't talk to her. You don't know how to speak English." Martin, said, "You don't speak." I said, "Hey, I know some." No, you embarrass us. Don't say anything. No. Man, he liked that girl over there. Some white gal, they're all dicked out, or I don't know, must have had a bonnet on or something, or too tight or something, I don't know. Anyway, got that Indian moving a little bit. Finally, they said, "All right, then, if you know how to speak some English, go talk to her." Well, those guys in their big reservation hats and beaver coats, they're going to watch their brother go up there. They went up to that guy. That guy went to that gal and said, "Say there, is there any Catholic church around here?" "How much do you weigh?" That was about the only English he knew. So then my teasing clan, they would say to each other, "Are you going to go ask her how much she weighs?" So they know they're flirting, they're going to flirt with some ladies. So I just wanted to point that out. Go ahead, ask anything. But don't ask how much I weigh.
Are there many universities teaching Native American languages?
Yeah, there's a lot. Like their college, Bernadine's college, Sally, that's that college in Newtown. And then Little Bighorn's teaching Crow. I believe most of the schools along this river, over in Candeska, they're teaching Dakota. Turtle Mountains, they're teaching Ojibwa and Michif. Michif is a combination of French and Chippewa. And then they got Chippewa, the regular Chippewa, so they got a couple languages they're teaching. The other places, like you get further south, South Dakota, mostly Lakota. Some Dakota, like Sisseton, but you got like Ogallala, Miniconjou, these, all of these, like Ogallala, Lakota, Sente, they're all teaching Lakota. They're teaching Lakota almost on the level of not only 1, 2, 3 conversation, but phonetics as well as teaching. And so they all have like university programs designed over the years. And so people can go over there, to acquire masters as well. And they're accredited too. North Central, I believe, right? Bernadine, that's what accredits North Dakota and South Dakota.
Hey Lanny, if I threw some words at you, since you mentioned about this being a center for trade, can you do some signs?
Okay, let's say we were going to trade, okay? So we're going to trade. We're going to trade something. It could be like this too. So there's no one standard. So like maybe we're gonna get together in there. We're gonna go into the Earth Lodge, and then we're gonna go in there. We're gonna sit, and then we're gonna maybe the men folks gonna get some tobacco and then pray like that. So like, for example, you and I, we were trading, and I have 4 buffalo hides, and I'll trade you 7 of your horses and your wife. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh.
No, that's not that's too much, you might have said. But anyway, that's kind of how we would be trading. Like, for example, we're gonna trade a gun. We're gonna trade a knife. Okay. Oh, these are something like me. These something like me around here. So then you got the Sioux coming in. Okay. You got the Reeds are coming. They're gonna trade with us. Hidatsas are coming. The Arachbago, they're coming over, the Mandans. And so, and then the Crows, they're coming over here. And then when we get done with that, we're gonna go over there to his house and we're gonna eat. He's gonna feed us some guts. And what I heard from one of them over there, they said he has lots of tongue. Oh man, good tongue. Some of the delicacy. So then, for example, we want to trade some, like for example, bags. Bags of like berries. Maybe they're dried, or maybe we have some roots that we're gonna trade. Some of the stuff. We're gonna take some dry meat, hang it up there, let it dry, and then we're gonna trade that. We might have some clothing in the trade, but this guy we know, he's just gonna take his clothes off. I don't know if you would do that.
What's crazy?
Yeah, it is crazy. No, it's this other side. Crazy guy. Yeah. Okay. That enough? Okay. Teepee, okay? And then you got the Earth Lodge. So this is like a Earth Uka. Yeah, kind of Earth Lodge. So like, I was just I was visiting Harry's sitting there yesterday, and I brought a whole bunch of information that I did research for my doctoral thesis on the Crow and Hidatsa. And I brought one in and shared with him about here in Stanton. And in Stanton, in that document, it had name places in Hidatsa. And I counted close to, within 10-mile range, there was about 24 name places here. 24 different coulees, creeks, these paths. They all had names in this this document that I pulled up. I hadn't looked at it since '96, but since then, all of these had name places. All of these creeks had name places. My Crow relatives over here at Painted Woods, it's over there by Washburn. Washburn over that way. That is our Genesis story, where we came from, Painted Woods, and that's where we say we originated. And then there are some other places here that we have the same. Some people might not know or whether they are or not, but when you going towards Minot from Newtown, you see this little town called Makoti, but to us, it's kind of a cute name because it reminds us of our kids, Magadi, meaning children. And I don't know even if those people in Makoti know that the name of their town is named after children. You know, it's such a beautiful name. You know, Magadi. You know, what a nice place to see that. A town that's named after children, you know. And there's some guys there that probably, I shouldn't say. I grew up in border towns, and sometimes we had some really rough times in border towns. I grew up in Parshall. Was over there for several years. Had a good time over there. There was a teacher there. She punished me. Now, some Norwegian lady. I don't know. She hated me. She forced me to read Shakespeare. She forced me to read Edgar Allan Poe. She made me memorize every deaf-gone adverb, adjective, noun, preposition. I think they're bad. I wonder why I smashed her sandwich. Why did I take a bite of her apple and leave it there? But this lady, she just kept me reading these classics. One day I was sitting at Montana State University in Billings, and I was getting these natives. They were writing papers, and they wanted them printed out nice, and I was correcting them, and I thought, oh geez, who am I to judge this? And I thought, oh geez, that doggone Norwegian lady that used to that hated me, and said, "Doggone, I kind of felt bad. I better make amends to that lady." So I called the Porsche, wanted to talk to her. That son of a gun, she got the best of me again. Again, can't catch up with her. She left, went to the other world. But I told her daughter that if it wasn't for her, I would have probably had a more easier path on my educational endeavors. And she taught me a lot about writing. And I have a lot to thank her for that, even though it was punishment. And oh geez, I hated that, when she had forced to learn the Constitution. God, why, thinking there, why? I realized way later it turned out to be all right. Jeez, I think about that lady, man. She hated me, I think. Go ahead, ask some more. Guess we're gonna wrap it up. Yeah. Hey, go ahead. I say thank you. Oh, I say that. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. See you again sometime.